Chapter 6, Part 1 of Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel by Guy de Maupassant. Translator unknown. Chapter 6, A Step Upward. Part 1. The next morning, Georges Duroy arose, dressed himself, and determined to have money. He sought Forestier. His friend received him in his study. "What made you rise so early?" he asked. "A very serious matter. I have a debt of honor." "A gaming debt?" He hesitated, then repeated, "A gaming debt. Is it large?" 500 francs. He only needed 280. Forestier asked skeptically, "To whom do you owe that amount?" Duroy did not reply at once. To a Monsieur de Carleville." "Ah, where does he live?" Rue. Forestier laughed. "I know the gentleman. If you want 20 francs, you can have them, but no more." Duroy took the gold piece, called upon more friends, and by 5 o'clock had collected 80 francs. As he required 200 more, he kept what he had begged and muttered, "I shall not worry about it. I will pay it when I can." For 2 weeks he lived economically, but at the end of that time the good resolutions he had formed vanished, and one evening he returned to the Folies Bergère in search of Rachel. But the woman was implacable and heaped coarse insults upon him until he felt his cheeks tingle and he left the hall. Forestier, out of health and feeble, made Duroy's existence at the office insupportable. The latter did not reply to his rude remarks, but determined to be avenged. He called upon Madame Forestier. He found her reclining upon a couch, reading. She held out her hand without rising and said, "Good morning, Bel Ami." "Why do you call me by that name?" She replied with a smile. "I saw Madame de Marelle last week, and I know what they have christened you at her house." He took a seat near his hostess and glanced at her curiously. She was a charming blonde, fair and plump, made for caresses, and he thought, "She is certainly nicer than the other one." He did not doubt that he would only have to extend his hand in order to gather the fruit. As he gazed upon her, she chided him for his neglect of her. He replied, "I did not come because it was for the best." "How? Why? Why? Can you not guess?" "No." "Because I loved you. A little, only a little, and I did not wish to love you any more." She did not seem surprised nor flattered. She smiled indifferently and replied calmly, "Oh, you can come just the same. No one loves me long." "Why not?" "Because it is useless, and I tell them so at once. If you had confessed your fears to me sooner, I would have reassured you. My dear friend, a man in love is not only foolish but dangerous. I cease all intercourse with people who love me, or pretend to. Firstly, because they bore me, and secondly, because I look upon them with dread, as I would upon a mad dog. I know that your love is only a kind of appetite, while with me it would be a communion of souls. Now, look me in the face." She no longer smiled. "I will never be your sweetheart. It is therefore useless for you to persist in your efforts. And now that I have explained, shall we be friends?" He knew that that sentence was irrevocable, and delighted to be able to form such an alliance as she proposed, he extended both hands, saying, "I am yours, madame, to do with as you will." He kissed her hands, and raising his head, said, "If I had found a woman like you, how gladly would I have married her." She was touched by those words, and in a soft voice, placing her hand upon his arm, she said, "I am going to begin my offices at once. You are not diplomatic." She hesitated. "May I speak freely?" "Yes." "Call upon Mme. Walter, who has taken a fancy to you. But be guarded as to your compliments, for she is virtuous. You will make a better impression there by being careful in your remarks. I know that your position at the office is unsatisfactory, but do not worry, all their employees are treated alike." He said, "Thanks, you are an angel, a guardian angel." As he took his leave, he asked again, "Are we friends? Is it settled?" "It is." Having observed the effect of his last compliment, he said, "If you ever become a widow, I have put in my application." Then he left the room hastily, in order not to allow her time to be angry. Duroy did not like to call on Mme. Walter, for he had never been invited, and he did not wish to commit a breach of etiquette. The manager had been kind to him, appreciated his services, employed him to do difficult